Knowing how to monitor and manage processes in Linux is important, even if you aren't intending to be a system administrator. This could be because you need to troubleshoot a process, or you just need to see what is running on a machine. The ps command is used to print all the current processes on a machine. By default, only processes running for the current user in the same terminal window are displayed. All I have here are the bash shell and the ps command. To display more processes and more information, we need to use some options. The first thing to note in the man page is that there are three different types of options for PS: Unix options, BSD options, and new long options. The first two, Unix and BSD, are artifacts of the interesting history of Unix and all its variants. You can combine options of different variants, but it normally isn't done. Let's look at an example. PS AX, and I will pipe it to less with dash capital S so that disables word wrap. This command displays the processes for all users using BSD syntax. Note that no dash was needed before the AX options, unlike most other Linux utilities. Second format is Unix format. This command will display all the processes for users using this Unix syntax. Note that a preceding dash is required before the options, unlike BSD syntax. The output formatting is slightly different between the two, but most of the time, the same information is there. You can choose which columns are displayed and how the information is organized using different options. Normally, users pick a format and stick with it. The most commonly used sets of options are, for BSD, PS AUX, and for Unix, PS-EF. Before we discuss some of the available options, let's take a moment and look at the information displayed here. The first column displays the user ID of the process. This means that the process has the same permissions in the system as that user. The second column is the PID, or process ID. Every process on the system has a unique process ID. In the next video, we will see how we can manage processes using a PID. The third column is the parent PID. This is the PID, process ID, of the parent process that created this current process. In a moment, we will see an alternative way to display processors so we can better illustrate this parent-child relationship. The C column denotes the processor utilization percentage as an integer. Since this machine isn't doing much at the moment, all the processes are registering below 1%. The S time column indicates the start time of the process. The TTY column indicates the terminal used to control the process. If a question mark is displayed, that means there is no associated terminal. This is normal for system processes that run in the background. If we scroll down, we see there are some processes with a TTY. The time column displays the amount of CPU time the process has used in hours, minutes, and seconds. The last column is the command that started the process. You can see at the bottom the process is associated with the PS and less commands. Now that we have an idea as to how the PS command works, let's look at the man page so we can learn more about it. A nice thing about the man page for PS is that it includes some usage examples. For example, if we only wanted to see the processes that were owned by root, we could use this command, ps-U root -u root and then a U. Note, only processes with a root user ID are shown. As I mentioned, sometimes it is useful to see a hierarchical view of the processes. Let's look at another example on the command line, and we can see what I mean. PS-E capital H less -S. The -E option says to display processes for all users, just like we saw previously. The -H option tells PS to format the processes hierarchically. When you run a command on the command line or start a browser, a new process is created. That new process is created by a currently running process like the command shell or a window manager. This hierarchical view shows this. As previously mentioned, a child process is started by a parent process. So for example, we can see that the systemd process in the parent window has started a lightdm process. This process is the parent to another lightdm process. That is parent to a Mate session process. And we can continue this till we get to bash and the ps and ls commands we are running right now to look at this output. This view can be very helpful if you're trying to debug processes and figure out how they got started. If you don't need all of this extra information, there is a special utility used for displaying the process hierarchy called pstree. Notice that this doesn't display process IDs or process owners, but it does make seeing the hierarchy far easier. While the PS tool is helpful, it only displays a snapshot of the processes on the system. Sometimes you need to see how the running processes on the system are consuming resources. For example, if your system starts running slowly and your CPU usage spikes to 100%, you need to determine which process is responsible. The top utility provides a constantly updated view of current processes and the resources they use. In the summary area at the top command displays the computer's uptime, average load, total number of running tasks, CPU information, and memory usage. Notice that it is updated every 3 seconds. If we want to change this to, for example, every 1 second, I can use the D key. Now it will be updated every second. Below the summary area, there are a list of processes with columns for different pieces of information about each process. By default, the processes are ordered by most CPU usage to least. If your terminal size is small, you can use the left and right arrows to scroll through the available columns. Top also offers quite a few ways to customize what information is displayed and its format. For example, you can change the units from kilobytes to megabytes, or display an ASCII graph or resource usage instead of percentages. I recommend that you take a look at the man page to get a better idea of what you can do with the top command.